All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday night service of the Bridgewood Church of Christ. Glad to see everybody out on this cold Wednesday night, but we must continue on. And glad to see everybody online. And if you have some, as always, that beef chirps or makes one of those interesting ringtones, if you would just put it on just vibrate or silence or whatever mode they put it in. And we're going to go to about 7:55. And what we're going to do is continue on with our lesson on religion in their own eyes. And last week we stopped on slide number 11. Slide 11. Then we got some. And the question is, why did Israel reject God? Y'all remember the nation of Israel? They call them the children of Israel. Why did Israel reject God? Any ideas? You know why they rejected God? Because, yeah, that was part of it. They stopped believing. But the reason why they rejected God, because Israel became comfortable among the wicked. And what happens when you get comfortable, you think about this. Even nowadays, people are comfortable exactly where they at. But when you're in the comfort zone, you're in danger because you're not moving forward. By default, you are moving backwards. So what's some of the things that happen in our comfort zone? Yeah, you get too comfortable and you start accepting that small stuff, right? Because you just get used to it. And the first thing they start accepting was, God told them don't intermarry, right? So they start getting comfortable with mixed marriages. Marriages. And one of the dangers of a mixed marriage, and it has happened so many times in the church where people say they try to get married to somebody of a different faith, and then they say they're going to convert the person. Well, 9 times out of 10, they don't convert them, they get converted. So the Bible is so true when it tells us don't be unequally yoked because it's so much stuff you have to fight already, but you don't need to bring unnecessary stress into the marriage. And children raised in mixed households often don't learn vital lessons. The first one they don't learn is that one true God. Because let's say, for instance, you got a member of the Church of Christ and a member of the Baptist Church, they get married, right? Y'all know that happens, right? So the beliefs are not the same and it's always going to be conflict. And a lot of people, they come to church, but they really not Christians. Some people wear the title, but they really don't live the lifestyle. So the children, they don't learn about the one true God and they don't learn about the one right way to serve him.
I didn't get the last thing.
The one right way to serve him.
Oh,
Because that is, I remember one time I seen a track and it had about 12 steps of salvation. 12. They had added so many steps onto it. So we have to be really careful that when we go and mix with other people. And the other thing they got comfortable with is idolatry. That's what I want to hit on real good tonight. It's on the next slide, but we'll start with it right now. What is idolatry or an idol?
it's really anything you put in the place of God.
Anything you put in place of God. Anything, right? An idol can be a person, it could be a place, or it could be a thing. An idol, it can be just something you think simple. It's TV. It could be an idol because you're putting that above God. How about family? Family can be an idol. I'll just give y'all an example. You know, when the holidays come and, you know, you're supposed to be in service and family come over and you tell your family, hey, I'll meet you in this place and that place, but you know you're supposed to be in service. So you have put your family above God. God, he has to be first. What about this one? Sporting events.
It depends on the team.
What about the Cowboys?
No, not them.
Yeah, you ain't got nothing to lose with that, but you know, people, they actually here in Texas, y'all know football is a religion.
Yeah.
People, they go to them games religiously, so it is a religion. And y'all know we had one of the biggest sporting events, what was it, Sunday? And people still talking about that. So that is an idol because you put it above God. How about this one? Jobs. Jobs can become an idol if you put above God. Anything you put above God. Oh, this is a huge one right here. Positions. Positions and titles. Some people, they hang on to that so much, that's all they got to hang on to. But you got to realize too, you are placing yourself in God's place. And people, they don't like when you talk like that because you are really striking a nerve. But you can't put that position over God. And I got a question for the class. When you think about idols, think about how much time you're spending on this. Think about how much time are you spending, let's say, on the internet, or these things right here. Y'all recognize this? You know, sometimes it's kind of funny and sometimes it's not when you see people so attached to these devices. They don't even call them phones no more.
Yeah.
They call them a device because they divide. You know, and people are just sucked into it. And you know, these app developers, they know how to do it. They have people developing these apps to keep you on there. And then you neglecting your family. And of course you neglecting God because you spend all that time. So I just want to encourage people, just take an account of your time because anything you put above God, it is an idol. Oh, that's my questions for tonight. The next one is, idolatry is evil. And the reason it's evil is because we have put that item or that person or that thing above God. You know, some people, they worship people. And y'all know the name of the player, I ain't gonna say him, but they call him King so-and-so. And I'm like, God, he's the only king. But they call him king. And you have to be careful about that when you're worshiping these celebrities. I see you, Gary. I see the wheels turning. And today, we have to realize it's only one true church and the gospel plan of salvation. It's only one plan. And it's only one right way to worship. Because if you do it any other way, you're out of order. And there's a lot of things that's going on. I mean, I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because people, they want to bring all this stuff in. And denominations are evil. Because there's a lot of stuff that they teach out there that is not of God in a way. And a lot of the stuff, it comes from our enemy, which is Satan. Because y'all know he comes to kill, to steal, to destroy. He comes to steal your peace. Because if you're not at peace at something, you're not going to serve God fully. And a lot of them denominations, they are designed to divide.
You know, we all know that Satan even tried to, well, I guess I'll use the word defeat God in the temptation of Matthew chapter 4.
Yes.
And think about the temptations that he used there. Booker, of course, one was, one I suppose you could say it's needs food.
Yes.
Because he had been 40 days
40 days,
without food.
yes.
Command these stones that they may be made bread. And Jesus, the devil could have done that, because the devil can have false, and then of course one was to jump from the temple, I don't know, to show maybe pride or whatever, and but so the devil himself, even with the Son of God, was, and it was a real temptation for Jesus, because Hebrews says Jesus is tempted just like, all of us. He's tempted, but yet without sin. So if Jesus could be tempted, not that he, resisted temptation, but
Yes.
if the devil could tempt Jesus, the Son of God,
Yes.
and did so, then we know he could tempt us.
Yep. Big time. And I was just thinking about when Brother Gary was talking about when he took him to the pinnacle and he said, I can give you all this. He already owned it. Y'all think about that. The way he twisted it around.
Yeah.
He is slick, but you know what? We have to be wise.
Mm-hmm.
And you think about, I was just thinking about the word denomination, right? That means, as if it's a denomination, it's divided, right?
Yeah. It's a part.
Yes.
Like of money, if you have a dime or a nickel, it was a part of a dollar.
Denomination, yes. Like $1, 5, 10, 20, those are denominations.
I don't see any of that big.
And if you look at the actual word, it tells you what it's about anyway. What's that right there? Demon. That's the root word of denomination. So he's really doing his job by dividing.
Really, of course, you're spelling it D-E-N-O-M. It'd have to be D-E-M-O-N to be demon. That's
Yes.
D-E-N-O-N.
But they are still evil. We know where it came from, the original demon. And we're going to continue on. Appreciate that, Brother Gary. Now, why idolatry? Do you think God knew about this? He knows about everything. That's kind of a loaded question, but God knew about this when he created us. He knew about idolatry and the things that we're going to be facing. And the reason why, we just talked about what idols are, and the reason why a lot of people do idolatry because it filled their need to worship. Instead of coming to worship, they worship different places, different objects, and different things. And it allowed them to commit sin by stealing. You think about this. If you're spending a lot of time with something above God, you're really stealing that time from God. And it allowed them to commit sin, and one of the sins is abortion. Let's turn over to 2 Kings, verse 23 and 10. Yeah, 2 Kings 23 and verse number 10.
2 Kings 23.
Mm-hmm. Got it? It says, and he defiled Toab, which is in the valley of the children of Hinnom, that no man might make his son or daughter pass through the fire to Molech. That was abortion. This is not new. It's been going on for a long time.
See, Molech was kind of I just had taught last week. I just taught Joshua and Judges and Ruth in a Zoom class for Guatemala. And so, the Balaam and Molech kind of, the male kind of figure there is Baal, and Molech is kind of the female.
Yes.
And I told them that when you study idolatry in the Old Testament, it always involved the sexual act, always. Never, it was always a part of that religious ceremony, so to speak.
Yes.
And it's interesting, not interesting, but if you look at the Buddhism and Hinduism, and
Yes.
see some of their idols, again, it oftentimes involves sexual activity of various kinds. They're worshiping when you really look at it.
Yes. And that's on slide 13.
Huh.
Yes. It is. I'm gonna tell you some of that stuff. Whew, but we definitely gonna get to it. And another reason why people do adultery is because they're not held accountable for adultery. They are kind of given a pass. Fornication and rape, and they also take advantage of the poor, the aged, and the weak. A lot of these people, they take advantage of people because they don't have a lot of means or a lot of money, and then they tell them, you know, worship these idols. I'll just give y'all a prime example. Back when I was growing up, we had these televangelists. They would tell you, send your money in, and then we'll send you a prayer cloth. And I'm thinking, cause I seen one of them, I was at my grandmother's house, and I was sitting there thinking, and I was asking my auntie, I said, Auntie, how do we know they actually prayed over this cloth? But in order to get it, you have to send money back. So when he was praying on the poor, and you think about it, if you send your money, ain't they gonna make you poor?
Yeah.
But they prayed on them.
And of course, that cloth they said you probably cost 50 cents or $1.
Yep.
Whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's still going on. The age, which is the people, I don't like to call people, I say the more mature.
That's a good word.
That's it. But they prey on you with these idols. And it's also to the weak, not only physically weak, but spiritually weak. They prey on you because a lot of people, they don't read and they know that. They have professionals out here they good now, but they're gonna have to answer for that.
Evidently, or I think for certain, a lot of the faith healers, or at least people who ask for money, popular, especially on TV and internet and all like that, get a lot of their money from very poor people.
Yes.
Or very, maybe even sometimes people that are, because of age and all, can't think as well and all like that, but they appeal to the emotion.
Oh, yes. And you know, a lot of times, especially with the older people, a lot of the kids, they are away from the house, and then the grandkids, they're away. So, you know, they at home lonely, and that's somebody that talks to them nice. And they send the money, and then it's been cases where when the kids finally checked on them, they've sent these people thousands and thousands of dollars, and they're about to lose their home. But you know what? They're gonna pay for it because that is idolatry.
Well, one of the members here, I won't call her name, I don't know her that well, but anyway, older and has to be at home or to come to worship services, and she, Sarah had found out how that she sends money to, you know, one of the televangelists like you're talking about.
Yes.
Without really knowing probably.
Yes, and it happens. And another thing they do, another form of idolatry is they cheat the employees or the employer. You know, every employer is not honest, you know, and a lot of them, they just looking at the bottom line. And if they have to let some people go, they'll just let them go. I mean, what's this, a no-fault state? Just get out, you ugly, get out of here.
Yeah.
It's no fault, and there's no repercussion or nothing you can do about it.
And you know, also you can turn that around, that sometimes the person who is employed, if you leave early and the boss doesn't know it, or don't finish your assignment or whatever, then you have that.
Yes, And it's always, I'm gonna tell y'all, with this world of high tech, they don't have to be there to watch you. It's somebody's always watching.
Yeah.
And these employers, they looking at, if I'm paying you a salary or paying you this amount of money, they want to get the full 8 hours from you. Now, to be honest with you, nobody really works 8 hours, a full 8 hours, but you got to be there when they say you're going to be there. I remember I was working this job where, I was a contractor, so it was real strict on the time. So what people would do, they would pull up in their car and leave the car running, come in and clock in, go park the car, then get breakfast, and then they'll get to work. So they was really stealing money, but they didn't see it that way.
Yeah.
But eventually it caught up with them. So we have to be really careful when we're doing that stuff, especially when you say you're a Christian, you should be held to a higher standard.
Yeah.
Because that could hinder your witness too when you say, hey, I'm a Christian, but you slacking off on the job. People look at all that stuff, y'all. So we have to be really, really careful. And this is another one, which is a form of idolatry. Worship at your convenience. Just whenever I feel like it. And that's a lot going on, Just come when you feel like it. But Hebrews 10:29, it says, forsaking not the assembly, Hebrews 10:25, forsaking not the assembly of yourselves together. And some people, they just do it. But we have to really be careful of that, because the danger in that is, if you start doing it when it's convenient for you, sometimes it's never convenient. And then you start slipping. And next thing you know, you don't even come anymore.
Booker, I've even been a little bit surprised by when COVID, of course, that was kind of full 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And at times the buildings were closed, we couldn't even, for a period of time.
Yes.
And churches. But at any rate, and I've heard other preachers and other Christians say that the same thing, that after COVID, there are fewer Christians that actually attend worship, and congregations have stopped, many congregations, and I know of 2 that I can think of kind of in the country, but really pretty good congregations that now only meet on Sunday morning and no longer meet on Sunday night or Wednesday night. So there have been a lot of just that sociological, fact has made a difference.
Yeah. Yeah, and it just really bring out a lot, and because they say people, they left after COVID, this and that, but some of the people, they was going to leave anyway.
Well,
they just needed a reason to leave.
Yeah.
But that is true, Brother Gary, because I know congregations where Sunday nights, they not even open.
Yeah.
But we still have to work on that, because that drifting, once it starts, it's hard to come back, y'all.
Yeah.
Because you're so used to not showing up. Another one is the least in the flock for sacrifice.
The what?
The least in the flock for sacrifice. In other words, this is a word what people don't really like. And this one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Huh? Especially this one right here.
Uh-huh.
Service. But that's what we supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And we all on the same team, right? We supposed to serve. I mean, I can understand you're not here for every single thing, but sometimes at least show up.
Yeah.
But sometimes people, they say, I just don't have the time. But if it's a priority for us, we can make the time. And the next one, whatever is right in the eyes of man. So whatever.
Don't leave service all that quickly.
Okay.
And because you can think of so many different services,
Mm-hmm.
or ministries, if you want to call them that, and this was years ago that I saw this, Booker, and I wish I could kind of remember the whole thing. but it was kind of used the word like nobody and somebody and everybody. You know, it was kind of in a poem, like almost like that. And if it was everybody's business, somebody should do it, but nobody did it. You know,
Yes.
that kind of thing. Which a lot of times that's the way it is. Or I've heard, and maybe you heard this too, Booker, that, and I think this might be a little bit, maybe not accurate totally, but that 20% of the members do 80% of the work.
That's Parlito's rule.
Pardon?
It's called Parlito's rule.
Okay.
Yes, and that's true in every organization. Because you see the same people all the time.
Yeah.
Yes, that small 20% that get the work done.
Probably at your job, it's probably a little bit like that.
It's about 5%, but
Yeah.
yeah, but it's the same group.
In
of
the
people.
military, when you were in the military, it probably.
You know what? Even in the military, it was the same thing. When people needed help or to serve, it wasn't a lot of people volunteering.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, that's another thing, because even on the evaluations, that's a part of it that we have to do is service. You had to go and do public service. But nowadays, people, they don't really think it's important, but it is very important because we have to be the light here, not only in Fort Worth, but in the world. And that comes from service.
Yeah.
You know, you don't even have to study for service. You just get out there and do it.
You know, it's a good illustration there in John chapter, I guess it's 13, I think, where Jesus washed the disciples' feet, you know,
Yes.
and or by the apostles' feet, and they were all there, but no one of the 12 got up to, you know, take the water and all like that, and so Jesus himself ended up doing it.
Yes.
You know.
That's what it is. Jesus, he was doing the work and they was watching.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. But right in the eyes of man, that's when they have no conscience. Let's turn over to Exodus 20 and we'll read verse 4 and 5. We're still talking about idols.
Exodus.
Chapter 20 and start at verse number 4.
Okay.
The Bible says, Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is on the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children of the land and third generations of them that hate me. Now we're talking about idols, right? And I was thinking too, you know, a lot of times it's good to know history, you know, but they have some statues where people worship these statues.
Yeah.
And it's not a human or none, but they just worship it. And I'm sitting here thinking, you know, that's an idol. But people do it without even thinking.
Yeah, and I'll give you an example. I guess I'm talking about it. When our son was in school, and he was going to Fort Worth Christian, familiar with that. And anyway, one of the valedictorian in the class, in his class, was let's see, I guess she was Hindu, yeah. And her parents were wealthy, you know, one was a doctor, or at least they were professional, you know. One was a doctor and one was something else. And, but they had a God room, an actual room, where they had some type of, and they would put clothes on that, whatever the idol was, every day, and bring it food and water every day, in this God room. And this was a very, I can almost remember her first name, and this was a very professional family. But it was literally like they had another child, feeding and clothing and, you know, honor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens. It happens a lot, unfortunately, you know, because even when you go on vacation, you know, you see those statues and I remember one time, I forgot where I was at, but they said, you know how people have this little thing where they just throw money into the fountain and they're supposed to give you good luck.
Yeah.
And I said, I ain't throwing my money in there. I have bad luck.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but that's another form of idol, you know. And it's that stuff that we don't really think it is, but anything you put above God, it's an idol.
Well, sometimes it's called a wishing well.
Yes, that's what it is.
Yeah.
A wishing well. Make a wish, throw it in there.
Yeah.
But we have to be careful there. Let's turn over to another one. 1 John 5:21. 1 John 5:21.
Okay, 5:21.
21. It says, little children, keep yourselves free from idols. Amen.
5:21.
Yeah, 5:21.
Oh, did you say 1 John?
Yes, 1
Oh,
John.
okay, I was at Big John. Okay.
Yeah, little children, keep yourself from idols. Amen. That's very clear. Keep yourselves from idols.
Mhm.
And we still continuing on with that. So let's turn over to page number 13, slide 13. And if you'll see on the slide, this is what we're talking about. One of the statues where people worship, doing what's right in the eyes of the worshiper. Asking your favorite idol what is right and what is wrong. So imagine if you had an idol or a statue over here. Let's say, for instance, it's these blocks, right? So if this is your idol, you ask the question, is it okay to worship other gods? You're not going to get an answer because it's an idol. Is it okay to have an abortion? The answer is you're not going to get an answer. Is divorce and remarriage for any cause okay? Depends on the lawyer. But no, you ask the idol, guess what? You're not going to get an answer. Are some lies all right? What about those, they call them the white lies, or the little small one? Is that okay? You're not going to get an answer. And then, you know, sometimes people, they make up answers. But you talking to a statue, it's not going to give you an answer. What about this one? Is homosexuality an acceptable lifestyle? Is that the answer? It says, is homosexual an acceptable lifestyle? Well, if you ask this idol over here, you're not going to get an answer. So you're going to have to make up your own accent. And if you ask the idol about gambling, is it okay to gamble? What about drinking? Or here's another, what about lusting? If you ask the idol, is it okay?
You know,
You're not going to get an answer.
it's interesting to me, not good interesting, but, you know, when, well, anytime you'll hear, advertising liquor, and then they will say, drink responsibly.
Yes. Yep.
Who's gonna do that? Very few.
Very few.
Drink responsibly. Yeah.
Yes. And if you notice, if you just start to notice when you're driving along, every other billboard is for alcohol.
Yeah.
And then they wonder why so many people are alcoholics. Because it's in your subconscious mind. You can't get away from it. And every other commercial is an alcoholic commercial.
And you know, it's to me, it's hypocrisy, but not that I'm for smoking, but you know, they don't allow advertisements on smoking. They allow all kinds of advertisements on liquor, alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I never did think of that.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Garrett. It is true.
And you know what? Smoking usually hurts you, but mainly not so much others, unless you family or something. But
Yes.
alcohol will always hurt.
Yep. I might have to start paying attention to that. Because the thing about it, you see it so often, you really don't pay attention to it. And that's really the thing, that they want you to think it's normal.
Yeah.
But, I appreciate that, Brother Gary.
And one of the things, you may have this on your list, is gambling. And
Yes.
of course, that's, I think,
Yes.
Well, see, now, just recently, like within the last year, now especially sports gambling.
Yeah.
I guess almost any kind. And of course, you can do it, you can do it.
Right here.
Yeah. And, we have a relative on one side or the other that is, for several years, has been involved in gambling. And we don't know exactly the amount, but obviously they've lost a lot of money because, it's always, you're gonna win, but you don't.
Yes.
That kind of thing.
Yes, and that's a big thing, gambling, and even on some of the, they advertise the casinos, this and that, but then they have the tables in there, but then they say at the end of the commercial, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLERS Anonymous. But you caused the problem.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, once people get hooked on gambling, that's a hard habit to break.
Oh, I've heard it's one of the hardest, and of course, just up in, if you're going toward Oklahoma City, you go past probably the biggest casino in almost that I've ever seen, almost like a city.
Yeah.
And they'll have, sometimes you go up there for free food and maybe even a free room, but they get have all these little things to entice you, and what are they,
Yeah, you're gonna pay the price one way or another, because everything, when they say free, they're gonna get you one way or another.
Yeah.
Cause they know most people, they gonna gamble.
Yeah.
And that's how they make the majority of their money, cause I remember when they first brought those, river boats to Greenville.
Yeah.
They had the whole town going over there.
Yeah.
But then, I remember it was one of my principals when I was in high school. I seen him one day, and just talking to him, and he was like, you know what? I done lost my house, I done lost my marriage, I done lost everything because I started going to the boat.
Yeah.
And he said, I just got addicted to it.
Yeah.
And they know if people, especially in like poor towns, the hope of gain, people they don't think about it anymore.
Yeah.
That's why it's so dangerous, where you got people have been working all their lives and put up for retirement, and then some flasher come along and all their retirement is gone.
But you're right in what you said, that I have heard from others, and so apparently that solid statistics, that one of the hardest things to stop doing, if you want to call it an addiction, is gambling.
Yes, it is. So stay away, y'all.
Yeah.
And the next one we're going over, on slide 14, we're still talking about denominationalism. It's a form of idolatry because it promotes, allows, or it tolerates many sins. I was watching this video earlier, and the guy, he was like, he was on a panel, and they was asking him, do he talk about sin, this and that? And he said, no, we are in the entertainment business. We have to make people feel good.
Yeah.
He said if we talked about sin, they will leave.
Yeah.
But we are commanded, if you up there in the pulpit, you have to talk about it and let people know.
Yeah.
Because some people, when they get into the pulpit, they pulling them into the pit.
Yeah.
Literally. Because they say they don't want, everything now, it has to feel good.
Yeah.
You can't hurt nobody's feelings. But if you're teaching the truth out of this word, you're going to hurt some feelings.
Yeah.
That's a part of it. But he said he will not teach about sin because he will lose half his members. And once you lose the members, that's losing the money.
And that's
they don't care.
That's probably somebody isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And they tolerate, another thing they talk about, the drinking of alcoholic beverages. A lot of these churches will not tell you nothing about it. They don't even bring it up.
The Catholic Church has, not just picking on him right now, but they've always had, even among their priests, a real drinking problem. My father worked a part of his life at this was in McKinney at the time, they had a veterans hospital there, you know, you're familiar with those?
Yes.
And so there was a priest there, you know, I guess tended to the sick and so forth. But my dad found out that the Catholics had for lack of a better term, they had a hospital or someplace where they could send alcoholic priests to dry out, you know, try to overcome the alcoholism. And Bob Milligan had told me one time that his son played football, and they were playing a Catholic school. You know, it's a Catholic school kind of down toward Fort Worth, Middle Fort Worth. And he said, and he said there was a father out there, you know, a priest, passing around for the Catholic football players, and it wasn't water. He was passing around from player to player during the game.
Jeez. Yes, definitely. That's one of them habits. It's hard to break. I ain't saying it's impossible, but it is something that people, they don't even really talk about, because a lot of times they don't talk about it because they're doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
You know, a lot of crimes and a lot of killings and all like that happen because.
Yes, when people are drunk and then they wake up in the morning, don't even know what happened.
Yeah.
You know, and next thing you know, you locked up the rest of your life over something you did while you was intoxicated. But the courts, they don't care. Look, if you did the crime, they locking you up.
Do the crime, do the time.
That's it. And another thing they don't talk about is lascivious behavior, dancing, and immodesty.
Yeah.
A lot of them, they don't talk about that because a lot of it is going on right in the church, especially at dancing. I'm gonna tell y'all, all you have to do is just pull up YouTube and look at some of the stuff that they do. I mean, two-stepping, jumping off trampolines, and just like a club in the church.
And you know, men can be immodest too, not just women.
Yes. Yeah, nowadays, it goes both ways. You know, we have to do things decent and in order because we represent God. So we can't come in here no any kind of way. And some of them, that's another thing I don't know if it's young people listening on, but you can just go to YouTube and look at some of the, quote, the men and the women and some of the stuff they wearing. It's like, you know you go to church, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of them, they call themselves leaders, but they present themselves in a way that's not really representing
Takes
God.
very little material to make their garments out.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It's happening right in worship, and divorce and remarriage for any cause. That's another thing that they don't talk about. I know this one guy, he called himself a bishop, and he been married and divorced 6 times.
Good.
But then he said he's gonna have marriage seminars. It's like, you need to take the seminar if you can't keep it together. You know, but yeah, he said he's gonna start marriage seminars, and he's been married 5 times. But people, they still like him because he's popular, but we have to realize you're gonna have to answer that, because for any cause, like, I just don't like you no more, let's get a divorce.
Yeah.
You can't throw in the towel like that. And nowadays, they making it so easy to get out of. People are just, hey, I got to go, I got to go.
You remember, it's only been 2 or 3 weeks ago that John preached from the Gospel of John about the lady who had 6 husbands, you know, the woman at the well, and all like that. Only 6.
Yes, only 6.
When she was living with him, not her husband.
Yep, and she said, Jesus, you must be a prophet because you know all these things. And she went back and told him.
Yeah.
But actually, let's finish this one out. And that's another thing, of course, homosexuality. And this is a big one too, covetousness. And what that is when you want something that other people have, and even sometimes at the church, they have bingo, raffles, and even gambling right at the church. Call it what it is. It's gambling.
Yeah, yeah.
Unfaithful attendance. That's when.
You don't have any dice, do you?
Oh, no. I ain't got no dice. And it's another one right here, unfaithful attendance.
Yeah.
And the only thing about being unfaithful attendance is it's more easier when you just come when you want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, this is gonna be a good one. Women preachers, priests, and bishops, especially the big thing that's going around now, even in the body is they got women preachers.
You know, and there's at least one congregation in Abilene that has women elders, and they've had them for 3 or 4 years maybe, and probably I'm sure they're women preachers there too. But
Yeah, we have to be really careful when we're doing that because we all gonna have to answer to God. And the last one is lawlessness and worship, musical instruments, entertainment, and incense. And the big thing, of course, is the musical instruments, but right now, they got some churches, now I ain't talking about outside churches, even some of the churches of Christ where they got flashing shows. You go in there, you think you're in Star Wars. They got the big bands going, but all that stuff, it's not authorized.
Yeah.
You
by the
know?
way, are you bringing the waiters this Sunday?
No. Well, that's it. We'll start next Wednesday, Lord's willing, on man-made religion is attractive. We got about 3 minutes. So y'all be warm out there tonight and drive safe. And tomorrow, make sure you buckle up because it's still going to be.
Get real close to your wife.
Yes, that's one of the benefits. But I definitely appreciate your time. And if you turn your phone down, just turn it up so you won't miss no calls. And please like, comment, and share it out. And God bless.
We appreciate you serving.
Yes, appreciate you, Karen.